well. The Yunus government has recalled 5 envoys. That includes the envoy to India as well. It's a major diplomatic reshuffle that has been undertaken by the Yunus government. What does it mean as far as the India-Bangladesh relationship? Foreign Ministry ordered these 5 envoys to return to Bangladesh immediately. Some of the other countries where the High Commissioners have been asked to report back to Dhaka include Belgium, then there is Australia, Portugal, India, of course, and US as well. So extremely important what happens as far as the India-Bangladesh relationship is concerned. More importantly, there's a word coming in from Bangladesh that the ongoing projects and the approved deals between India and Bangladesh will go on. So that the ongoing trade relationship, the ongoing economic relationship will not be impacted is a word coming in from Bangladesh. But how does this reshuffle impact what is really a very testing time for the India-Bangladesh relationship is our big focus right now. Okay, let's open this up for our experts this evening. Ayanjit joins us as well as Dr. Asif Iqbal as well. Okay, Dr. Iqbal, let me start with you. How do you read these diplomatic reshuffle that has been undertaken by the Yunus government? How significant do you think it is?
Well, I think the foreign ministry ordering all these envoys to come back are from these countries where the diaspora is very strong. The Bangladeshi diaspora is very strong. And especially in Portugal, I remember that there has been a parliamentary committee as well, which is very strong and which is very, very engaging with the diaspora. And I feel that the ambassadors who are being looked at as, political appointees, though they were not. But since, these forced resignations, they raise a fundamental question. If the country is repeating the same old patterns of appointing loyalists, just as they did in the previous government. And moreover, the vibrant Bangladeshi community, which is integrated in Portugal, Portugal has formed its first 10-member parliamentary group, and there has been a lot of engagements with that particular group. It's the same with India also. There's a huge diaspora here, and UK and Brussels. So there has been very strong, engagements in those countries. And I think this is an indirect evidence that the interim government is very much aware of the roles played by the diaspora. Because these are the professionals from academia, business, engineering, IT, medicine, even cybersecurity. And these non-resident Bangladeshis have formed many associations abroad with Bangladeshis as members. And many of these associations are divided along our national political lines. And choosing the right and the appropriate association to work will be a real challenge for the government. And that's the reason why the embassies and the ambassadors have been, created to engage.
Dr. Iqbal, okay. I know the point that you're making. You're saying that there's a powerful Bangladeshi diaspora in these countries, and because of that, their relationship with the existing government, how it's changed, and that's the reason why this reshuffle has happened. Okay, this is not a constitutionally elected, a democratically elected government. So to that extent, what normally the power transition happens after a democratic exercise, reshuffles do take place. But as I said, this is an interim government. Ideally, it should pave the way for elections, and some of this diplomatic reshuffle should happen then rather than happening now. Is that how you should read, or is that how one should read, Ayanjit Sen?
Well,
Ayanjit Sen, yeah.
Yeah, I would say that definitely, because at the end of the day, there's an interim government in place in Bangladesh. And from that perspective, whatever steps that they're taking, including getting ambassadors back to their countries from different, including India. Now, that's not something which lawfully, from that perspective, in their constitution, in the Bangladeshi constitution, it's clearly written that such a thing, this kind of appointments or this kind of stuff cannot be carried out by any interim administration. Because at the end of the day, the Bangladeshi ambassador to India, Mustafizur Rahman, he had just 3 months left before his scheduled retirement. And suddenly they have been called back. Now, of course, these people have been termed as closer to the former Army League government. And they are going to be replaced by people who are going to push the agenda of the current interim government. And that too takes place at a time when it's a rocky age relationship.
So I'll tell you what this means as far as how I read it here, which is that this may not be an interim government for a couple of months. 5th of August is when Sheikh Hasina fled Dhaka, and after that Yunus government it formed the government in 2 days' time, and it's almost now 2 months. The fact that it's now undertaking a diplomatic reshuffle indicates that they may be in for the long haul. So what happens to the democratic exercise, Dr. Iqbal? Talk to us about that, and then we come back and talk about the India-Dhaka relationship. But first, the fact that this indicates that it may be in for a long haul and it may not be just a couple of months.
Well, what I feel is that, the previous government's romanticization of the Bangladeshis war of independence, even after 50 years, that was, by keeping the memory of the 1971 war alive, they reminded the nation of the great sacrifices made by their leaders. And I think the current party was identifying itself with the father's legacy. And one of the things is that they wanted to break that up and, wanted to see how, this whole thing, is changed and this whole narrative is changed. And so that, people would understand that new government, even the interim government has started taking some action. And a possibility of that particular, diplomatic missions influencing the people and the diaspora, because the diaspora is very much disturbed right now.
I'm not asking about diaspora, Dr. Iqbal. I'm asking you about the fact that does the diplomatic reshuffle mean that this government could be in longer than the word interim normally indicates? That's my question.
Well, there is a lot of pressure for them to perform on the elections and to see them that they are democratically held. Maybe this is a kind of an emergency, situation that they have taken over, so that some immediate, urgent measures have been taken over for the, Bangladeshis. That's what I feel. I wouldn't feel that, there is any indication yet about, the elections not happening in time, or they are not abiding by the international regulation.
That is a promising fact. I can turn around and say that there are no indications that suggest that an election is actually taking place. But Ayanjit Sen, how does this impact the India-Bangladesh relationship in the wake of the sense one gets is, as I said, at the cost of repeating, diplomatic reshuffles normally are not the exercise undertaken by a government that is in for a couple of months, maybe even a year. These are exercises undertaken when a proper power transition takes place. How do you now view the New Delhi-Dhaka relationship?
Well, I would just say that, these are clear, significant implications for Dhaka's foreign policy direction, which aligns with its new political agenda. And that's one reason why I would say, the current relations between India and Bangladesh stands at a place where Muhammad Tawheed Hussain, an advisor to the Bangladesh government, said that, both countries should have good working relationship. But at the same time, India is in a way just showing restraint. It's not kind of, it's beating around the bush, but it has not kind of come up with a clear agenda because it's watching. At the end of the day, it's not an elected government in Bangladesh. We have to remember this. And, by calling back ambassadors, by taking such steps, it can be some steps taken as part of the interim so-called measurement. But that's definitely not going to stay for long, because at the end of the day, from an Indian perspective, they need the trust factor to come back. And therefore, the Bangladeshi authorities should first get to rebuild that trust factor and then foster constructive dialogue with India as they go ahead.
Now the next envoy, the next High Commissioner is yet to be appointed, assuming that exercise typically takes a couple of weeks, maybe sometimes it could take a couple of months as well. Then the next High Commissioner is appointed, he presents his credentials, that process takes a bit of time. I want to understand from you, Dr. Iqbal, how do you then view the next 6-12 months as far as Bangladesh is concerned and the Bangladesh-India relationship is concerned in the backdrop of the fact that this may be longer than anticipated?
Absolutely. Normally I would feel that there could be a charge d'affaires who is going to be at the helm of affairs here, and Indian government and our foreign ministry is, qualified enough to work on this particular matter. And moreover, the ambassador who's going to be nominated will be screened and then only approved by our side. So I think that it is going to be a wait and watch attitude, as Mr. Sen rightly says, because there are a lot of other dynamics that are going to be happening. And, the fact that, we are going to be having various other engagements. Recently, the UNGA, our Prime Minister did not meet, the interim, administrator, Mr. Yunus. So there are so many such things that are happening, and I believe that they have to take a call on, how and what could be the final outcome of it. And it is going to take quite some time now.
Yes.
Especially with this, anti-India's demonstrations and the narratives that are set by their government.
Okay, let's leave it there. There are, as I said, 5 High Commissioners of Bangladesh in separate countries that have now been recalled immediately. And I believe that this sets the path in terms of the longevity of the Yunus government, more than what was being anticipated when the interim government came to power, and it is likely to have a bearing on its relationship with New Delhi. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for speaking to me on India Global.